The Cranberry and Silver is a relatively recent addition to the chironomid section of my Stillwater fly box, but it already has a proven record. The holographic mylar body is key to this pattern. Holographic mylar is available in a number of excellent colors and makes a great body or rib material. Here are the materials you will need to add your own bushel of Cranberry and Silvers. So I'm going to tie a relative newcomer to my chironomid stable, and that's a Cranberry and Silver. Did really well for me last year, the 2013 season. Represents not only a chironomid pupa, but probably passes as a chironomid larva. And trout being the opportunists they are, they probably eat it for one of the two, so that's always good. So into the vise, I've placed a number 10 C49S number 10. I'm going to taken a 7/64 black nickel bead, slid it onto the hook shank with the narrow end of the bead towards the hook eye so we don't accidentally obscure it. We're going to push the bead back out of the way. We're going to attach our A-Dot Montana Fly premium thread. Just get that started. Bring the tying thread back up to the hook eye. Don't want to make a lot of thread bulk here so we can get the bead slid over. And for the gills, we're going to use some of the UV2 sparkle yarn in white. It's a great gill material. It's nice and vibrant when the light hits it, and it's compressible too, meaning I can tie this in, as I'm going to do now, a couple of wraps over top, one underneath, and then I compress with the thread tension and me pulling on it and reduce the bulk. So it makes it easy for the bead to slide over. I'm going to come in with my scissors, nip away the excess, cover up those remnants, and then whip finish. And this gilling process, as I've mentioned on previous videos, I do all at once when I'm tying in bulk. And if you notice, I've taken the gill material, secured it all the way back past where the bead will slide over, as you see now. And this has two benefits. First of all, I get the opportunity when I reattach the tying thread to cover up and reinforce that tie-off area, but this also helps build up the shoulders of the fly, so I can build up a nice slender taper to match the profile of the natural chironomid pupa. So I'm just going to bring tying thread right back up. I'm now going to tie in the wire ribbing, and as the fly's name, Cranberry and Silver, would suggest, this is going to be a silver wire rib. So we're just going to take the tag end of that silver wire, stab it into the back of the bead to help position it, and then secure it down the hook shank along the near side of the hook. That's the side facing me. Just going to take this all the way down. Be careful not to catch that thread on that sharp point. Down into the bend. So the thread's on about a 45-degree angle. And then we're going to quickly come back up the shank. Fill in a bit of that overall taper, and then take the thread so it's back behind the bead. And then for the body material, there's so many great Flashaboo colors out now, and this is the Cranberry color, 6942. It's sort of a deep burgundy maroon. And I'm just going to take two strands out of the package. I'm going to moisten them to stroke them together so they become almost one. I'm going to then lay these onto the barrel of the bobbin, place my forefinger over the barrel of the bobbin, and pull on both ends so they're more or less even, hanging on either side of the bobbin. I'm just going to grab both ends and then slide them off the barrel of the bobbin onto the tying thread and secure them in position with a couple of wraps. And then to add some reinforcement, because this is not exactly a durable material. Fish's teeth can get through it rather quickly. So one of the things you can do is build up some durability into the fly. So I put a light coating of brushable super glue on there. I'm going to stroke those fibers together. Moisten fingers helps keep them there. Watch out for the hook points. Like that. Just sort of zigzag it around all the way down to where the wire was tied off, and then come back up. And again, by doing this technique, I have the ability to cover up any gaps, and I'm also adding durability because I'm overwrapping the material with itself. So I'm just going to take that right up behind the bead. You can see we've got that tied off and we've got that nice maroon body. Maroon is an excellent color for chironomid pupa patterns because A, it could be taken as a chironomid larva, it can be taken as a brown pattern depending on the light levels, a black one if it's really deep. The holographic nature of this, it flickers at depth. This fly works good in the shallows but also works good in deeper water, 15 feet or greater. At times it's performed well for me. So now with that complete, the body done, we're just going to take our wire ribbing and we're going to start by putting a little silver tag on here. So I'm going to go around the hook shank right at the rear of the body 2 to 3 times to form a little silver tag, a little bit of shine. We come up with our thumbnail, make sure those wraps are tight together. And then just open the spirals of our ribbing. Watch out for that hook point, of course. All the way up to where the thread is hanging. We want to make sure those are nice and even. So that one got a little close. It's falling into the... Let's go and undo it a bit here. There we go. Just want to make them nice and even. Probably more for our friends and buddies to look at than the fish can see that kind of detail. Get them up. Over the top once, twice, 3 times for luck. Once or twice directly in front. That locks the wire in place. And then pull and twist to break away the excess. At this point you could also trim the gills. So we're just going to come up. I moisten them to get all those strands aligned. Pull them back over the bead. Sort of take the scissor blades right against the back of the bead. Make sure all the fibers are right in the jaws of the scissors and make one snip, and you get the beads the right proportions. I like, sorry, not the beads, the gills the right proportions. I want my gills to be no longer than the bead itself. So you don't want them long. You can always trim them down a little bit too, but those look pretty good. And now we're just going to tie in a thorax. You could certainly form a thread thorax, but I'm a bit of a purist at heart, so I'm just going to use some of the UV2 peacock curl. I'm going to take a single strand. I'm going to turn it around. This is the tip of the feather here, nice full fibers. The actual tips are quite brittle, so I'm going to nip away 1/2 inch or so. Get that trimmed tip tied in right behind the bead, and then really we're just covering up our thread work. So we're just going to build up a peacock curl thorax that extends back no further than half the bead. So 4 or 5 turns with a single strand should be fine. A couple of wraps to tie off right behind the bead. Trim away the excess, and then find our super glue and coat that tying thread. Let the thread carry the glue right in and not mat any of those peacock curl fibers down. Come in, whip finish. The tying portion of your cranberry and silver is complete. Now all we need to do is coat the body. So for the body coating, you could use brushable super glue, but the UV resins have become very popular. This is one I like here, Loon's UV Clear Fly Finish in thin. And I've got the little narrow nozzle on, and all I'm going to do is, careful not to get this into, is just put a little bit on the top, and it's got a nice viscous nature to it. It doesn't run all over the place, and then I just come in with my dubbing needle and I can distribute this wherever I'd like to. And if I want to add more, I can, but that's how I like to do it. You can get some with the brush applicators, but sometimes just a little squeeze, put a little more onto the dubbing needle, and let the I just find I'm much more accurate and able to distribute this material evenly with my dubbing needle. So we just get that in place, make sure it's totally enveloped the hook, which it has. So we've got this UV fly finish and thin formula. As you can see, it's distributed nice and even all over. It's going to add durability and shine, help suggest those emergence gases the pupa use to elevate their way up to the surface. And we just come in. You can can see how those gills really light up as well. That's an example of UV fluorescence. UV reflectance, that's what UV2 stands for. Fluorescence and reflectance. Reflectance, human eye can't see, but trout and other creatures can certainly see into that UV spectrum. So that's how that comes about. We get that done, and that has now cured, and it is tack-free. It looks great. So there you go, the finished Cranberry and Silver. For more information on fly fishing, and stillwater fly fishing in particular, please visit my website at flycraftangling.com. Here you'll find lots of information, including fly fishing tips, fly patterns, articles, dates on my seminars and schools, along with links to my blog and mine and Brian Chan's online stillwater fly fishing shop. You can also visit our store directly at stillwaterflyfishingstore.com. Please join the conversation on my Facebook page or follow me on Twitter. Thanks for watching, and please take the time to watch my other tying videos as well.